So when you get a phone call at 7 a.m. the day after New Year's, you can assume it's going to be bad, right? Hey, what's up, Ship Life crew? I hope everybody's having a great and relaxing Sunday. My name is Jay, and welcome to my channel, The Ship Life. So on Sundays, I have a sub-series on my channel called Ship Life Stories, where I pretty much just talk about all the wild, crazy, and sometimes scary things that happened to me while I was working on cruise ships as a crew member. So if you guys haven't already, that's your cue to subscribe. Anywho, so for today's episode of Ship Life Stories, I want to tell you guys about the time that I almost and probably should have gotten fired while working on board the cruise ship. So this, of course, happened to be the day after New Year's. So, of course, I'm sure most of you guys understand New Year's is undoubtedly probably one of the most wild, crazy times of the year, right? A lot of people are using that time to purge or just kind of have their last bit of wild fun, or just a way to even bring in the new year with a bang. Now, given that wasn't my intention, honestly, it was just like a normal New Year's for me. I didn't have any crazy intentions. However, it just happened to be my first time doing New Year's on a cruise ship. We were just leaving Miami, so we had a wild, rambunctious crowd, and it was just an exciting time. So here's the thing. I was hanging out at the time with my friend. I'm not sure if you guys remember Lisa Marie. She worked in the spa, and her entire family just happened to be on the ship at that time. They decided to come for Christmas and New Year's. So, you know, I was able to get real close with them and get to know all of them. And I gotta tell you, those are some of the craziest people you will ever meet in your life. Really nice people, but man, they are a good time. They're Irish and Turkish, so the combination alone is just insane. Anyway, guys, so we were all hanging out, you know, checking out shows, doing a lot of drinking, and, you know, their dad alone is the craziest old man I've ever met in my life. He just liked to party. So here's the thing. We were all hanging out for New Year's, and of course, you know, everybody was turning up, you know, taking shots and all that other good stuff, having a good time. And, you know, after the ball drop, of course, that's when all hell breaks loose and everybody decides to just go crazy. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I was drunk. At times I didn't even know where I was, and you know, it could be bad on the ship, because the thing is, obviously, as crew, there's only certain areas on the ship that you're technically allowed to be at, and on top of that, on my cruise line, you could only have an alcohol level of 0.005. For those of you guys that don't know, that is the equivalent of 2 beers. Now, given the crew, for the most part, or as far as the security goes, they make a little bit of an exception, because they know it's New Year's, they know people are going to be turning up. As long as you're not vomiting, as long as you're not causing a problem like a fight or something like that, or you're not too drunk wandering around the ship, you're good. But anyway, guys, just getting into what happened. I was hanging out with Lisa, her sister, and a couple of other friends and her parents, and you know, we were taking shots, and we just happened to be going for a walk. And we just stumbled by Lisa Marie's parents' room, right? And they all go inside for a second. I was like, okay, well, I'll meet you guys a little bit later. And her dad said, no, come on in for a shot. Come on. Now, here's the thing, guys. If you don't know, on the ship, there are 2 big rules. And this, from what I understand, is kind of universal, and it goes for every cruise line, no matter what cruise line you're working for. And that is, do not fraternize with the guests, meaning don't hook up with the guests, and also don't go into their rooms. Never go into a guest room unless you have the proper paperwork. Obviously, I didn't. But it was kind of one of those things, like spur of the moment. Lisa's dad invited me in, and I had that second thought in the back of my mind. And I said, you know, I probably shouldn't do this. Let's go have some drinks. So I go inside, right? And it wasn't until literally right after I stepped in, it was kind of weird. Like, I stepped over the line, that it just kind of hit me that I just broke literally one of the biggest rules on the ship. So I walked in the room, and I realized there were literally about 5 cameras that are right there on that single stretch of hallway alone. So I was just kind of in that room a little bit paranoid, but I was kind of already in there. So I was like, you know what? It was New Year, so it was kind of one of those things where you're not thinking too rationally. But I went in there, they had a balcony and everything. I had never seen one of those on the ship. I had never seen a guest cabin. So I was like, you know what, this would be cool. And, you know, like, why not? So we took about 3 shots while we were in there. We were just having a good time, having some laughs. I stayed in there for about an hour or so, just hanging out with Lisa's family and having a good time. right? So here's where I was just kind of like, oh my God, it's happening. I'm getting fired. So the night was cool. You know, it didn't end up any crazy way. I ended up drunk in my own bed in my cabin, right? And lo and behold, the next morning, just before 7 a.m., I get a call. And here's the thing about the ship. Maybe I can find a picture or something like that to show you guys. What happened was there is literally just a phone right next to your bed on the ship. It's like strategically placed right next to your bed. And when it rings, you cannot miss it. Like, it is undoubtedly like unmistakable, right? That phone is loud and annoying. It's not even like your standard typical house phone. It has the most annoying ring you'd ever want to hear, and it does not stop. So at 7 a.m., I look at my clock and I was like, oh my God, why am I getting a call at 7 a.m.? And it kind of shows you who's calling. It has like little acronyms and stuff like that. It might say staff AG or something like that, or ops or whatever, right? My on my tag, it said on the ID, HR security. And I'm like, oh my God. Obviously, you know, to me, I'm like, shit, the camera caught me. I'm getting fired. I'm out of here. I'm gone. And here's what I did. I didn't answer the phone. I ignored it, right? We were heading to New York at the time too, and like heading right back home. And I was like, yeah, I gotta pack my bags. I'm going home. So I didn't answer the phone. I literally just went right up to what we call Deck A, which is like the outside area for the crew, and I smoked a cigarette. I don't smoke that often, but I couldn't help myself. I was just like, man, I messed up. I'm gonna get fired for literally just walking into a room and having a drink. How sad is that? I just ignored it the whole day. Now on the ship, we have what's called embarkation day. And on that day, that's when like the guests that were on board leave, and then the other ones return and blah, 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 or new ones come in. And I just ignored it. We had a meeting that next day because every time we go have embarkation day, all the guests leave, and the crew that are doing the show, especially entertainment, we meet up and we talk about basically what's going to go on during the week, how many guests are coming, how many shows we have, if there's any deviations, anything like that, right? I sit there at the meeting, and my manager Josh at the time, he said, hey Justin, HR needs you. And I was like, oh my God. There's no avoiding it. I'm not making it out of here alive. I gotta pack my bag, and they're gonna have me off the ship before they leave New York. So I go down to HR, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm just like shaking. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna get fired. So I walk in there and I said, you know, I had to put on my kind voice. I said, hey, how are you guys doing? Everybody okay? How's everything going? You know? And they said, oh, are you Justin? I said, yeah, I'm Justin. How are you? And they said, oh, okay, here, we need you. We just need you to fill out some documentation. Basically what happened was, so when I was in Port Canaveral, you have the ability, and this isn't for everybody, maybe I'll explain on another day. We were in Port Canaveral for 2 days, and I was able to leave the ship and go back home and see my son and my family and everybody. And the thing is, like, basically they treat it as you leaving the ship, not getting fired, but like your contract ending, right? So when you get back on the ship, you got to refile the paperwork and re-sign that you're on board and that you're basically employed with the company again. It's a weird process, but that was all they really needed. They didn't say anything about me being in a guest cabin, anything crazy like that. And I was like, oh my God, wow. Okay, cool. Right, so I thought it was all over, and then, you know, moral of the story, guys, first of all, don't go in a guest cabin ever, unless you have the paperwork. But I was at the crew bar later on that night, and a friend of mine works for security, and he said, hey, you know, by the way, I saw you on the security camera. He's like, but don't worry, your secret's safe with me. But just hearing that, I'm just like, bro, like, you could have just snitched and got me out of here. So thankfully, I stayed on the ship and I was able to finish my contract. Anyway, guys, I hope I didn't ramble on too much. I hope you guys found this story somewhat enjoyable, or you got something out of it, or you actually understand that you probably shouldn't go into a guest cabin ever. Ever. Anyway, guys, yeah, so that's my story. I know it's not too crazy. Nobody got fired, nobody got hurt, nobody got injured, but that's my ship life story for today. If you guys found this video enjoyable, make sure you smash that like button for me. Also subscribe if you haven't. I do tell crazier stories from time to time as well as give people cruise ship information during the week as well. By the way, guys, I have my interview on Tuesday, which I'm really excited for too. But, you know, fingers crossed, we'll see what happens. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this video up. Hope everybody's doing well. Have a great Sunday. Until I see you guys on Wednesday, you guys take it easy.